I've got quite the story to share with you all, and no, it's not of Trevor's vasectomy.
Whoa! Dude, I love gay people now!
No, we're a good guy. We're trying to save the kids. Look, we're saving you! Saving!
Okay, so I was born in... currently live in Mount...
Welcome back, everyone, to the chillest show on the Goobers and Screens YouTube channel, Book Club. We hope that you all enjoyed the past two recap episodes that were completely unintentional and we did entirely on a whim because we are professional YouTubers and we can legally call ourselves that because we have made money from this.
Yeah, and if you disagree with our opinions, you should just stop watching the video immediately.
Yeah, that's another thing we said, is that Black Clover is like a relatively popular series now, and basically if you think that we hate you and this is a personal attack on you, Daniel. Yeah, that's right. I'm looking at you, Daniel, from Seattle. Yeah, I know you. I'm in your walls, bro. I'm in your balls, dude. I'm living. Hey, Trevor, can you come here real quick?
Yeah.
Aren't I living in this guy's balls?
You're literally living in this guy's balls.
Okay, cool. Now leave. Hey, Cade, come in here for a second.
No. We canonically live in the Seattle aquarium in Seattle, Washington.
That's
so
true.
we will drive to your house and beat you up, Daniel.
Okay, Cade, don't we hate Daniel from Seattle?
Dude, fuck Daniel from Seattle.
I
Daniel
hate him.
Redenberger
I hate
from
him
Seattle.
so much.
Fuck you.
I hate him so much. Anyways, you guys leave. It's book club. It's book club time. This is the chillest show on Goobers and Screens. This is the most relaxed show on Goobers and Screens.
I have a friend named Daniel.
Does he live in Seattle? Because I hope your friend is not Daniel from Seattle, dude.
I don't know if he lives in Seattle or not.
He had better not. We're going to have an issue if he does.
But anyway, yeah.
Time for the post time skip and Spade Kingdom, which I think the entirety of post time skip is Spade Kingdom.
That's all it is, and I gotta say, it's probably the best Black Clover arc. Unfortunately, that's not really saying much, but it is the best Black Clover arc.
Black Clover arc. Does it beat Undersea Temple?
I'm gonna say, I'd say yeah. I mean,
if you look at it independently, sure. If you look at it in the greater context of Black Clover, I'd say no. Because of the weaknesses that I described in, introducing an entire new set of villains with all the new scuffed world building.
I could agree to that. And one thing I started doing this later on in our Black Clover readings. I just made notes of some of the highlights. We'll probably just go down the list and talk about some of the big old highlights from what happened. So, from chapter 230 onward, you get to see most of the characters after the time skip.
They haven't changed whatsoever. And to be fair, I think my standards of a time skip are a bit high. Because the only one I remember well is One Piece, and who can compete with One Piece in terms of time?
It's a pretty good time skip. I mean, Asta doesn't have the shoulders the size of God like Frankie does, but
so true. That's so true.
So good. We also, one thing I'm not gonna say I hate it, but I'm a bit confused on is Asta flying on his anti-magic sword.
Yeah, what? That's probably a moment that a lot of people were like, "Oh, that's cool." I was like, "Okay." I still think about this is still us coming off of 214, right?
Yeah, we were not. I didn't really get into Spade Kingdom till 260-ish, 270.
Yeah, with
probably
Noct and stuff.
Yeah, it took us a while to get over it.
But, I guess it's cool enough. It shows how far they've come. But
good thing. Sorry, I didn't interrupt. We can finally start talking about Yuno, how much we fucking hate Yuno.
I was just about. I was. There's a couple times last episode I held myself back from the Yuno rant.
So
we hate
look,
Yuno.
Asta and Yuno. They're the main character, Dude Dragonist. Asta, I am not the biggest fan of, but he is passable. Yuno is the single worst Deuteragonist I've seen in a shonen, and that Brandon and I share that sentiment. And any Yuno fans, I'm sorry, you
Your character is trash. We hate you. Send us death mail. Our address is daniel@seattle.gmail.com.
Fuck you, Daniel.
Thank you, Kate.
Trevor,
Thank you, Kate. Hey, Trevor, come on in here.
Yep.
give us your best fuck you, Daniel, from Seattle.
Where is that? Is that what you're going to ask too, Brandon?
Okay, thank you, Trevor. I appreciate it. You can head out now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I completely lost my train of thought, Kyle. I'll be completely honest with you. What were we talking about? He is the, what you call it? All shonen protagonists and their, rivals start off simple, right? There's nothing wrong with that. You have to start. You develop them later. You reveal more about their backstory later, right? You don't start off One Piece knowing that Luffy's grandpa is Garp, the vice admiral that could have been an admiral, and fleet admiral, what you call Garp the Fist. You don't start off knowing that he has a brother Ace, who's the son of Roger. You don't start off knowing that his dad is the leader of the revolutionaries and probably one of the strongest men in the world. You don't start off knowing that. You just know that Luffy's a kid who wants to be king of the pirates, and he was inspired by a pirate named Shanks. And that's all you need to know. At the beginning of Black Clover, you don't really understand their motivation, but, Asta and Yuno want to be the Wizard King. That works. That's completely fine. It's whenever you don't do anything with Yuno for 200-something chapters that it gets absolutely ridiculous. Yuno is objectively a bad character.
So hold on, Brandon. I don't want to have to try to recap everything. In here, can you make a note to can we just edit in a list of everything Yuno is just given in one of the more boring, in just boring ways that he's just given, just of how much he has? Because the man has so much, and
he's given
the
wind spirit out of nowhere. He's given the 4-leaf clover grimoire with wind magic, right?
You mean 2 grimoire?
I was gonna say we could even go further, dude. He's got the second grimoire from the Spade Kingdom because he's actually the prince of the Spade Kingdom. So not only is he that, he has a huge natural aptitude for magic. Right? He never has to work for anything. He's the exact opposite of Asta. As a concept, it works. In execution, they failed so hard with it, dude. He doesn't work for anything. I mean, you just say he does. He wants to be the Wizard King. Shut up, Daniel from Seattle. I literally hate you. You're so dumb. And it's just he doesn't work for anything. He gets the wind spirit, he gets the 4-leaf clover grimoire, he gets the star magic later on. He gets to join the Golden Dawn after everyone wants him, and then he gets to become vice captain of the Golden Dawn. And he never works for anything. He gets to become part of the Royal Knights. He wins the Royal Knight tournament. All this stuff. And when do you see him work for this stuff? Right? Okay, so maybe he does work off screen. When do we, the audience, see it? All we see is Asta out here working super hard and struggling all this much, only to meet up with Yuno and for Yuno to be 5 levels ahead. And oh my gosh, I hate the trope in every fight that was Yuno doing something, right? And then you get to Asta, and he's like, well, this is the part where Asta surpasses limits, and then Asta does it. That's so dumb. That's not good. That's not interesting. It's Asta's struggling, can't wait for Yuno to come in and do something, and then be whoops, I guess my penis isn't long enough for this. I guess I'll add Asta's 2 inches to it to extend the girth. I mean, seriously, it's not good writing. And the fact, Asta, he has his special magic, his special devil magic. Cool. He has his devil form. Cool, cool enough, right? And then Asta just out of nowhere gets the spirit form. You know. Oh my gosh, that's such an. Hey, Trevor, get in here.
Yep.
Okay, leave.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
That's what happens to all Yuno's motivation or character potential. It shows up and it just leaves.
Literally. Okay, so all other than him being a Spade Kingdom prince, right? All we learn of Yuno's backstory as to why he wants to be the Wizard King is that Asta saved him one time. It was I'm going to be the Wizard King. It was I'm going to do it too. I'm going to be the Wizard. I'm going to be the Wizard King. Literally, shut up, Daniel from Seattle. That's dumb motivation. You say, well, Luffy only wants to be the Pirate King because of a reason we don't even. Yeah, but we see Luffy act that out. Luffy is different, right?
Well, also, hang on.
Live his motivation and actively work for it.
Hold on, Luffy's also a main protagonist. I think examining other protagonists.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, but I think we've made our point of here's one thing I want to bring up from the notes that I have. I made the note specifically saying Yuno having actual character starting from like 230 to 240. That's my exact note. Yuno having actual character. And that was when he was fighting off Xenon, and
it was the best of the Dark Triad, by the way. We'll get to it.
Too bad he has the worst fight. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
That's fair. That's fair, but he is the best.
He's the best one. So, but the point is, what happens after the time skip is, the Speed Kingdom attacks, and at first it's hopeless. Yuno has to fight off some of them. Xenon shows up. Xenon barely uses like not even 50%. Wipes out half of the Golden Dawn, even though the half
wipes out all of the Golden Dawn. I mean,
Oh yeah, all of them. And then half of them are revived through Vengeance's World Tree magic. And the thing is, the other half that stays dead are characters we just do not know or have any attachment to.
There was the one guy that became an elf.
Sorry everyone. There was that one guy who became an elf that died.
Yeah, well, I guess they all became elves, so there you go.
And the thing is with that, like, I'm not trying to, diminish death in it, but usually when characters die, for it to have some sort of general meaning, either it has to be Chainsaw Man levels of insane, or it needs to be a character that we've become super attached to. Like, it needs to be many or one, and not just like a couple. Like, loses his teammates, but it'd be different if it was someone like Mimosa or the Steel, like if the Steel user died in that moment. Klaus, like if Klaus died and just didn't get revived through Vengeance's World Tree magic, that could have been Yuno feeling bad for him. Klaus, someone we've seen before with Yuno having interaction, dying on him at his own fault because he wasn't strong enough. That would have been interesting. It's interesting enough, I guess, but it's the first time he has character, and it's not as efficient as it could have been, simply because we as the viewers don't really feel attachment to who has been lost.
Well, the running joke we've had is, dude, I swear by chapter 230 he gets good. I swear by chapter 230.
Literally it for Black Clover.
That's the running joke, but really, like I can appreciate that they gave Yuno that character development. Really, I can. And it's the first real bit of character we actually get to see from him. Hey, this is another thing. He didn't even get possessed by the elf.
Yeah, so we didn't even get to see that.
What you call it?
I was expecting Asta to fight Yuno possessed by an elf.
Yes, that's what I wanted.
That would have been great, but we didn't get that. And then the other part of this beginning stuff that I thought was interesting is when Dante attacked the Black Bull hideout, and some of the characters had to fall off. And not much to say on that other than Yami showed up and was cool. They did well to beat him. They did beat him. They managed to beat him. But then Xenon showed up and was like, "You guys are pathetic."
And that's where I got like the gauche fake death, where I was like, I just didn't care about it because it's like
that was the exact moment. Hold on. I wrote that down. I wrote down. Where is it? Asta berserks at Gauche's quote-unquote death.
Yeah, no, that's what it was. Yes, sir.
And then Golden Dawn, half-dead, fake-out death. Also, we got to see Gray's magic not necessarily be transformation, but it was transmutation.
Yeah, no, that was cool. I did like that. Finally, Gray's backstory after however long.
Yeah.
What you call it? I think it was handled well. It's Cinderella. How hard is it to mess up Cinderella? I think it was done well. I liked Gray's backstory. I think Gauche being in it was believable. It added another level to her character because she was definitely the least developed Black Bull, and now that position falls to Luck.
Yeah. The only bit of character we saw with him, the two moments where the dungeon exploration where we got his backstory, and B, the one moment where he didn't want to fight Xenon.
Yeah.
Before the time skip. That was it. Xenon himself wiped out all of the Diamond Kingdom. Once again, showing like the Diamond Kingdom just was a really throwaway group of characters. and
they really hyped it up like it was going to be something.
I'm going to say this right now. Brandon hasn't seen Hunter x Hunter, but there's something hilarious similarly that happens in Hunter x Hunter that I can't wait for him to get to. Of just like complete overhype.
Is it the same as his bell falling through 14 levels of the dungeon when he's finding the Minotaur?
He did not. We do not talk about that.
We don't.
We will cover this another day.
Right.
But that one was just a blatant lie. This one in Hunter x Hunter was actual overhype, similar to the Diamond Kingdom. So one other thing I want to bring up with this, as cool as it is that Vengeance and Yami are the keys to unlocking basically hell, the underworld. How did they find that out? Doesn't everyone have a unique...
Literally, the explanation. Oh my gosh, we didn't even touch on the power scaling in Heart Kingdom. That was introduced.
Oh, insane.
Okay. One second. We'll talk about it in a second. Literally, it is explained that through the Clover Kingdom's unique sense of magic and like that's how stuff like time magic, healer, whatever, and dark magic, like that's how stuff like that was formed. Is that it was like through the unique whatever. It's like not natural. So how if dark magic is something new, how did they know this? I mean, obviously, dark magic is connected to devil magic somehow, but it's just like connected. It's not devil magic. So if it was devil magic, why does dark magic? And it says like dark magic specifically. And World Tree isn't World Tree magic like uber specific?
Yeah. So I don't understand.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I understand. I think it's a bit contrived and it could have been done better.
Yeah. Also, let's talk about the power scaling now, because in the Heart Kingdom mini arc before the time skip, they introduced this objective power scaling tier list.
Awful.
Terrible. They had the only difference was like arcane mages being exceptions, like Vanessa, who's not necessarily a tier 0, or she's an arcane with the power to control fate, even though she's not the strongest. You get
saint tiers. I don't know. My problem with this one is that it's an objective power scale, right? I don't like it. I think it's very bad how they're like, oh, well, you're just a tier 4 or whatever.
Yeah,
I'm a tier 1. It's dumb and it's stupid and I hate it. You want good power scaling. Without going on too much of a tangent, look at One Piece, right? It's just natural power scaling, where it's like, okay, Yonko Commander. Yes, I'm saying Yonko. Ooh, Emperor Commanders.
Devil fruits are a good thing. Mm-hmm. Like the thing with the Grimoire, Black Clover.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, what were you saying?
Oh no, you're good.
Oh, the thing with the Grimoires in Black Clover is they early on, once again, like when Black Clover had really good power scaling in terms of, it wasn't necessarily objective, it was everyone had distinct powers and you could combine certain powers together to overcome other stronger powers.
And then how did those powers interact with each other? I mean, it's closer to like stands or devil fruits.
Underwater temple, look at that.
And then it just becomes, oh, I can slash you real good.
You're just a group of tier 7s. I'm a tier 0 Saint Age arcane mage. I can blink and wipe you out.
And the same thing happened with that. I love Jujutsu Kaisen a lot. The whole whatever, what is it? It's what do they call them in Jujutsu Kaisen?
Grades, like special
Yeah,
grades.
that's great. That's right, grade. Like
it's similar to
Jujutsu Kaisen introduced the in-universe power scale of grades, where it's like grade whatever, sorcerer, special grade. And then just proceeded to do like 2 grade 1, grade 2 fights, and then never just special grades. And I'm glad now they've dropped it. Really,
yeah,
it doesn't really matter anymore. I really appreciate that, because it was just not good, and it was just the exact same thing happened. Like, okay, introduce it, and then it's like, okay, all tier 0s are arcane state, or and it's dumb. And then later you get Saint stage, and that's even dumber. Objective power scaling like that is dumb.
It's
very
not good.
Rarely is it ever done well, if at all.
And then one other plot point they introduced, they had the Clover Kingdom spy, which is Knots, which we'll talk on later. And then at the end of most of this stuff, one thing that I thought was interesting was they had a lot of fighting. And this specific note, all right, Cade, I want to bring Cade on, okay?
All right, Cade, you heard him.
I'm here.
All right, so Cade.
What am I here for?
There's a character, his name is Luck, and he fights an opponent, okay? And so now, is his opponent A, gay, B, powers of a devil, or C, a Spade Kingdom invader?
Now, as the resident Steven Universe expert, I must say it's all 3.
Yes, it quite literally
genuinely is. Correct this time. Congrats, Cade.
I knew it.
His power is Cade. If
yes,
I
please.
If I remember correctly, he can make himself as soft or as hard as he wants.
Yep.
and he
Just
acts
jokes on you, dipshit. I could do that too.
makes himself he's a typical like Japanese gay character, just a stereotype one. So they have a bunch of characters fighting some of Vanica / Magicula's host people who are controlled by a devil. Well, they're given devil power. And one thing I thought was sort of weird is they were fighting Vanica. She invades the Heart Kingdom, and Noelle, Mimosa, and the Heart Princess are fighting her. And Vanica, after
Lolo
the
Pechka.
Lolo Pechka.
That's a dumb
After
name.
like Luck, Leo, Charmy, after all of them have their fights, they're fighting Vanica, and then Vanica's like, oh, well, until you beat me, those people won't go away, so all the people that they've beat just get back up. And then Vanica has the epiphany that she's had a fight like this before, and the one reason that she had fun was she was like basically holding someone hostage, so she takes the Heart Princess hostage and forces Noelle to get stronger, and they just decide to book it and leave. Because they have their objective. Xenon recovers Dante, gets Yami, gets vengeance. He leaves. Vanica just wanted to attack the Heart Kingdom for shits and giggles. Takes the Heart Princess. She leaves. So they're just left at a loss. And they have 3 days before they go attack the Spade Kingdom and have to improve.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which, an unrealistic amount of time to have to get for training.
Gotta love the training arc post time skip.
And this is where we get introduced to a couple of character training stuff, like Nash shows up. He turns out somebody that knows devils and devil magic, even though he's known Yami for a long time, even though Yami should know about devils.
I really like Noct.
I
think
do.
He is a fun character. I think the way he was implemented was very poor.
It poses a problem with how did they not know about this stuff beforehand?
It was never hinted at before that the Black Bulls had a vice captain. I mean, I guess you could be like, oh, I wonder where the Black Bulls vice captain is. It wasn't like you could throw in a line and Yami's just like, oh, he's out somewhere. I don't know. That's well, yeah, that's pretty in character. But for him to have devils and for Yami to not know that, and for him to just be like, oh, for the one other character that isn't evil but to be demon possessed, to not only be willing to help out Asta but to be the vice captain of the Black Bulls, it's a bit contrived.
Yeah.
Like I said, I really like Noct as a character. I think his backstory is very good. I like his whole relationship with Yami. I'm glad that he got the spotlight that he did in the final fight against Lucifero. I think he's a great character. I think that throughout the arc he is handled well. I think that his introduction was done very poorly.
I would agree. They just sort of shoehorn him in there as someone who's like, hey, Asta, I know a way for you to get stronger with your devil. And now we can talk about Asta forming a contract with, what's his name?
Liebe. I think that's how you
Liebe.
pronounce it. I don't know. Liebe.
What were your thoughts on that?
I think I told you, Liebe is one of the Spade Kingdom designs that I did not care for. We'll get to the other one. And like I said, design-wise, I wish he wasn't just Asta, but a devil. Asta, but going Morbius.
But Brandon, that's symbolism.
I don't like the symbolism, Kyle. Okay, it'd be one thing if he was kind of formless, and then whenever he met, what's her name, Rissia or something?
Yeah, it took on the form that
Rissita. Yeah, and to take on the form of her son. That's one thing. But he was very clearly had similar characteristics to Asta while he was in the underworld. And
yeah.
So again, this is the Spade Kingdom. I do really like the Spade Kingdom arc. I think his backstory was handled well. I think him as a character was handled well. I think him throughout the arc was handled well. It's at his introduction and the stuff that came before that it falters.
Yeah.
Again, so what we're basically seeing here, right, is that the Spade Kingdom arc is very good, but it's held back by everything before it.
Yeah,
and that's exactly what we've been saying this entire time.
This is good, but X thing that happened before that, or X and Y that happened before that, is holding it back from being better than it could be. Yeah. And I think Asta making an equal also we got the Bloodborne moment.
Yeah, Bloodborne.
chapter 270 is where he gets the bloodborne drip. Nash does, and it was a good moment. But I think it was interesting. Interesting might not be the right word, but Asta making a fair contract and quote unquote befriending the devil inside of him. It was a direction that I was just expecting it to go after I heard like Nash like make him your servant. He's like, nah, I want to make him my friend. It was just okay, more Black Clover friend stuff.
I mean, it does make sense, and
It does, but
mean,
it's very simple. I can't fault it for being simple, but I can fault it for not being more interesting than it could be.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I mean, what else do you really say about it? I think you really hit the nail on the head there. I think it was very in character for Asta, and I think it was a good character moment, just to show that he's still him. But just Asta himself isn't too interesting of a main character.
No, and neither was Libe, in my opinion. Like, I agree that it was good in universe, but just out of universe, I'm not really a huge fan of him. But moving on from that, because there's not really much else to add, we see other characters find ways to train for 3 days, and then boom, they decide it's time to invade the Spade Kingdom, and we get Lion Mommy fighting the ancient demon.
Yeah, I love Lion Mommy. She's hot too.
The Hellfire Incarnate, which was a really cool thing, a really cool form.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, we finally square off into what most shonen arcs do. Well, the plot of this is what they want to do is use Yami's dark magic and Vengeance's world tree magic in tandem in a ritual and open a gate to the underworld. And there are multiple different layers of gates, and the more time goes on, the more gates will open up. What needs to happen, though, is in order for the ritual to continue, which they break the rules later, so there's no point in establishing these rules now.
Yeah.
There are the three villains who are made contracted devils. They're all the
triad.
The Zograta siblings.
Yeah, that's right.
Dante, Xenon, and Verica each have a pact with a demon, and they're in 3 different spots. They're surrounding Yami, Vengeance, trees coming up, and as long as everything stays in place and none of them are defeated, the ritual will continue. That's why they're going in, fighting
as long as not all of them are defeated.
Yeah, as long as not all of them are defeated. My bad. So that's what they're doing. They're going in and squaring off into like the group fights versus them. And it starts out, I put on the listings just to make sure. So we have Yuno and Langris who go fight Xenon. You have Charlotte and Rill who start fighting Verica. And then you have Nox and Jack go start fighting Dante.
Jack, dude, I like Jack. We haven't talked about Jack. I like Jack.
We'll cover him in a moment, but before that, I want to add in the fact that the kingdom, there is one thing the Diamond Kingdom did, which was have a scientist character who found a way to accelerate the tree of Qlipoth, which is the tree to the underworld, and was not a huge fan of that. Just left and right, been like, oh well, the super magic ritual, so many new rules added, just acceleration. They can all go down, it still opens. It's like, okay, cool, you're the kid on the playground changing the rules on the fly. That's fine.
Yeah. And then even again later, I think the whole tree to Qlipoth thing was a bit too convoluted and could have been done just better, simpler. I think it tried to do too much, and it kind of stumbled a bit. Especially since it's like, oh, you got to use the different layers, and at the last layer, Lucifero comes out, and then ends up being like, oh, it's the second layer, and Lucifero's here, even if he was half, what you call it. But so the fights against the Dark Triad.
Oh no! Also, you're forgetting a few things before that.
Oh.
The first gate opens, and Lilith and Nama appear. Because the first gate
after they fight Dante, though.
No, they appear first.
Really?
Yeah, the Dark Triad, because the gates open, they're finally able to. They're fighting for a little bit, and then after the gate opens, Lilith and Nama appear, and then the Dark Triad say, because the gates of the underworlds have opened, we can finally reach 100% power.
That's right. Yeah, their fights before wasn't really much because they were like, oh, look how strong we are.
I put this in specifically Julius's adult form fake out. I was so pissed as soon as I saw his adult form, but I'm happy they did not commit to it again.
Yeah, and obviously we learn more later. I will say, I ragged on Black Clover, like, oh, you need to include foreshadowing. That was good foreshadowing. It was a moment that I did not pay much attention to because I was like, oh, it's just going to be another like dropped thing. Well, why did he go out earlier? I was just like, oh, it's not going to be anything because a lot of the time Black Clover's also didn't capitalize on stuff like that. But I will say, no, that is a good point of foreshadowing. Yeah, and as to the mystery, it's something as simple as that you can do, and he just did it earlier
to show it. Yeah. Before that, there's one we could talk about Jack real quick because some of the stuff I have, like Jack doesn't really do much until a bit later. So Jack is a good character. He's very simple, but his magic is what makes him really cool. Where Jack, as a character, Jack's magic is simple. He can make swords on it, like he uses swords, he can like make his body into swords now. And the more he fights something, the more his power adapts to it to be able to cut it. So like let's say he's fighting someone who has like magma powers, and it's like, oh, you can't cut me on magma. Eventually his power will adapt to be able to cut you and deal damage.
Yeah,
like it adapts to whatever it's fighting. And at one point he eventually cuts through gravity, which was a pretty interesting scene to see, where he was like groveling, then like spikes appear and just grips through it and gets up, and I was like, oh, that's just a good moment for Jack.
Yeah, I did. I read that moment. I texted Kyle, I think not whenever I did, what you call it.
Jack's drive to cut everything was pretty nuts.
I texted him. I was like, do you think Jack could theoretically beat Wonder Reveal?
We will talk about that if and when we talk about JoJo.
If and when we talk about JoJo, that'd be fun. That'd be really fun.
So what happens is we get some flashbacks about the characters training in ultimate magic, some simple stuff on that. Then we get into Lilith and Nama's fight with the fire and ice, and then Asta shows up to take care of them first. Asta uses Devil Union. Brandon, we want to share our thoughts on Devil Union?
God, that design is so trash.
It's a pretty not good, edgy 8th grader design.
Yeah, I was gonna say I worded it as, I was like, that's the kind of design that some 8th grader would come up with and be like, ooh, look at me, I'm so edgy. And then I'll add it on. Yeah, no, it's just an 8th grade OC's design. And I would know, bro. You want to talk about 8th grade OCs, bro? I had those on tap, dude. And even I never came up with something as edgy as that.
Yeah, like the one fang and just like the broad spikes and
like seriously, and that's coming after Asta's half devil form, which is it's cool. It is a cool form. We have our gripes about its use in universe, sure, but it is a cool form. Yeah,
and then we get to see the full fight with Lilith and Nama fusing, and I like the fight. I wish I had more to say on it, but
it's a solid fight. I don't have anything bad to say about it. I enjoyed it.
And then he gives the explanation of there's 30 minutes to wait. So up until Asta fights again, 30 minutes goes by. Keep that in mind. So we get into after Asta fights Lilith and Nama's fusion, my personal favorite fight in all the Black Clover. So what happens is we are watching Jack, and I think, Nosh left. So Jack is left fighting Dante and can't really do much. And it's not until Zora and Magna appear, and Magna decides to go in for the 1v1. And we get an interesting flashback about it, where Zora and Magna are talking, and this is where we can touch on
This is the first time Zora has showed up post time skip, by the way.
Yeah.
I realized that. I was like, where's my boy? Like, where's my boy?
Magna's sort of been out of it too, and the reason being, we haven't really touched on Magna, but I'm gonna say it, and I hope it's not controversial. I'm gonna call Magna like one of the weaker, if not the weakest, Black Bulls.
I'm pretty sure that's canon.
Yeah, and he's a senior member, and he's one of my favorite characters, especially after this chapter. It's cemented it hard.
No, it's good. It's good stuff.
Magna's always had to be playing catch up. I like his rivalry with Luck more than I do like Asta and Yuno's rivalry.
I mean, we've seen it develop more.
And here's the thing: it's that but better because luck is given a lot. He was born with good magic, good instincts, was possessed by an elf and got the benefits from that. And Magna's just been like struggling. He's learned some stuff with his magic, but he's almost always had to rely on help and can't do anything on his own.
But also, we've actively seen Luck lose and struggle.
Yeah.
We never saw that with Yuno before, like chapter 250, whatever.
Yeah, and same thing with Magna too. Like Magna's frustrated that he can't keep up. And so we see in a flashback where he's talking with Zora, and Zora teaches Magna about like the magic transcriptions that he does on his own body, where it's like he needs time in order to make his magic. And Magna is especially weak with it. So for the 6 months of training, instead of like training hard for it, he spends 6 months making essentially like a one-time use spell. He could use it probably again if he waited another God knows how long, like 6 months, but this is what I love. He walks right up to Dante, one of the Dark Three Triad, and activates this basically like a spirit chain Hell in a Cell, where he shoots a chain from himself into Dante. It splits their magic evenly, and they just have a close quarters combat fight. And if you rip the chain out, you die.
To call it the best fight in Black Clover is probably completely accurate.
It's so good because it takes a character who is objectively weaker than the other opponent in a 1v1, and because of their smarts and their pre-planning, it pays off. So they describe it with numbers, and I think it makes complete sense here. How they show it in the manga is they show Magna's power as like the number 2, and they show Dante's at the number 100, but when chained together, split evenly, it's 51. And one thing I also realized, Brandon, since they're both using magic, Magna actively fighting back is just continuously weakening Dante.
Well, they don't use each other's magic. What it is, and what I really liked about it,
it splits their magic.
Yeah, it splits their magic, but like then they just have like that 51% magic.
Okay. I thought it was like
No. Yeah, no. That's what I thought whenever I first read it through. But what it is that Dante runs out of magic because he's not used to running out of magic.
And that's what made it so good. And
he's not used to fighting an opponent on like the similar level as him. And
ignoring the fact that of what I thought was incorrect, like it was still amazing just to have Magna show up, take half of his magic.
No, it's still genius, just like in a different way,
Yeah. Like the moment where he just jaws Dante right in the face, like hits him as hard as he can. Dante's like, that actually hurt. What the shit? And he's like, yeah, we're on even playing field now, bitch. And then fights him. Oh, so good. And though one of my favorite panels in all Black Clover now is though after like Luck shows up, Asta shows up, and they both just stare in awe as Magna just rears back and just roars. It was so cool.
It's good. It's good stuff, man. It really is.
And here's what I'll say. That and the next fight with Magicula. Well, I will say Magna's fight is my favorite. I will acknowledge that the Magicula fight was a lot like better in terms of just writing and characters. At least in my opinion. Like I like this one more, but I'm willing to concede that the next fight was better. If that makes sense.
I get it. I don't know if I necessarily agree, but I can respect your opinion on it.
Well, in terms of like, okay, in terms of story, Magicula's fight, in terms of just what we love from Black Clover, Magnus.
Yeah.
So
man, what we love from Black Clover. Who thought after 214 we'd be saying something like that?
Yeah. So the next fight, oh god, there's a lot to talk about. This was the entire fight with Magicula, or Vanica and then Magicula.
Yeah.
And the one reason I would say it does better in terms of what Black Clover wants is Black Clover is a series about the like friendship and not like
actually real quick, Kyle. We're getting kind of the episode limit, so I think I'm going to call it here, and we will hopefully finish up Black Clover next episode. So thank you all for watching. Thank you all for sticking with us through the recap to finally get to us saying some positive things about Black Clover. We don't actually hate your guts if you like the series, other than you, Daniel from Seattle. I literally despise you and I hate you and I want you dead. Bye-bye.
Bye.